Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Season 1 of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba on Toonami. And I really enjoyed this first season. I had heard a lot of rumblings about it. I'm like, hey, they're putting it on Toonami, Demon Slayer. I've heard some good things about it. And I was not disappointed. I really enjoyed what they did with this series. And I liked that they had an interesting kind of tone. Usually it's mainly serious, but in certain instances the animation would change to do some kind of funny, really crazy ass thing, and it worked very well. You it's always kind of rare to see when they do a nice balance of tone, and this works out very well. So, of course, it's called Demon Slayer. What does that mean? We got demons. That's a problem. So, this starts off and we see Tanjiro, and he's just being his own self. He's got kind of a big family. He's supporting his mother and siblings by like doing stuff with charcoal and all that, and trying to sell stuff down because they're mainly kind of like a mountain family, going down to a village and doing some stuff. But of course, once he leaves his family for a little bit, he then tries to go back up, and he gets back too late, and they've been killed, except for his one sister, Nezuko, and he sees that she's not quite right. Something's off with her. We find out that she has been turned into a demon and that his family has been slaughtered by a demon. While he's trying to figure out what's going on with this, one of the demon slayers, Tomioka, is around, of course, dealing with stuff, and of course he blames himself because you're supposed to hash this out and pretty much take care of that demon before shit hit the fan. But he's trying to kill Nezuko because that's his job. But of course, Tanjiro's like, I'm going to figure out a way to turn my sister back into a human. And this forms a really important core bit of the series. The biggest pillar is Tanjiro and Nezuko's bond as brother and sister. And of course, I really understand that bond since I've got a sister myself. And I'm like, yeah, I'd pretty much do that too. And the thing is, their bond is shown because he's trying to defend Nezuko, and then once Tomioka's pretty much laying Tanjiro out, even though Tanjiro was doing some good tactical shit, he's not built to be a fighter at this point. Nezuko uses her strength and power to stop him, and he's like, shit, she's not like eating people or anything yet. Fine, alright, let's see how this goes. You go to this dude, Urokodaki, and see if you can do your shit. And he, of course, goes off, pretty much makes a deal with Urokodaki, and he gets trained. We at first see the little bits of him as he's doing his mountain training, which is pretty strenuous. And then after we kind of see that montage, we go further in that it's been like 2 years and he's to be sent off to final selection to work out what's going on if he can become a demon slayer, so that way he can find more demons and try and figure out a way to turn his sister back into a human. And the important bit is, we see throughout the way as Tanjiro has to deal with demons and everything, how demons work here. They can't go into the sunlight. I'm fine with that because it works with the mythology of what we're being shown. They usually like to eat people, blood. That's usually the turning point. Since Nezuko has not done that, Urokodaki and Tomioka are kind of at least a little bit more lenient on trying to help her. And you usually have to cut their head off. Now, granted, there's certain instances that if you don't do it correctly, they could still fucking like regenerate themselves from a head, kind of a la Wolverine, Deadpool kind of shit. So there's usually kind of special swords, Nichiren swords, that we kind of get introduced as Tanjiro finishes up his training. So he gets up, he's learning how to use all this stuff, seeing him deal with kind of like the previous proteges that Urokodaki had and taught, as they had failed in the final selections and been killed. He goes up, he kind of sees what's going on with this whole kind of test that he's got to take for the final selection. He gets in, he sees that there's demons about, and an important bit that we also learn here, not just that we are told, but we are also shown, the more humans a demon consumes, the more powerful they get. And we see this demon that's pretty much been exclusively feeding on Urokodaki's students is a big motherfucker. And we see how Tanjiro's fighting style has pretty much evolved, where his is more of a scent-based fighting style, where he picks up this thread of scent and he's able to follow it to the point of the strike. It's a really interesting one, and I like how it is shown and told at the same point. You're not completely info bombed with like techno babble of like he does all these different kind of things and all that, or just shown something out of context. A good story weaves those together. So he's able to take out that demon and restore the honor of Urokodaki students and everything, as he's then going around the rest of the place, taking on these demons, trying to find out if they know anything about curing his sister. They don't. Another important bit that we learn is that wisteria trees are lethal to demons. And what the Demon Corps has done is essentially created this kind of, for lack of a better term, like a nature preserve, where I guess they're able to take these demons, put them in there, and of course they can't get out because of the wisteria trees. So we get in and we see that like Tanjiro and the rest, not much of this group, has gotten through the selection and gotten ready to do what they need to do. So they're like, pick your ore for your sword, you'll get it to you in your time. So of course they all kind of disperse, but we also see these people that we will be connecting with later on. Not more, some more than others. Like there's one freaky ass looking dude we see pretty much towards the end of the season, but that's about it. And they also get birds that relay them information. And this is kind of a cool little trick because it works with essentially a carrier pigeon thing, because this is don't know exactly when it is, but it's kind of around the turn of the century of, okay, there's trains and technology and stuff, but it's at that in-between phase where you've got your mountain people that are like, I ain't never seen a train before. That comes in importance at the end of the series, at the end of this season, and people were like, yeah, electricity and shit. How we doing? So Tanjiro gets his Nichiren sword, and we see that Nichiren swords, again, shown and told, are different colors for different wielders, and that Tanjiro's is black, and that little's known about that. So, alright, kind of cool. So he goes off, he starts seeing kind of how this shit goes on. Of course, there's one demon that's like preying on these girls. Him and Nezuko do a kick-ass double team on that dude, and that was a pretty good fight. They then get hooked up with Zenitsu, who was one of the people that made it through the final selection. And how do I want to put this? I like Zenitsu's character because it's an interesting character, even though he is annoying as fuck. Alright? I hand it to the voice actor here because they do annoying and like make this character fucking and I don't immediately want to change the channel and be like, I don't want to listen to this. Granted, his whining and his complaining is just god tier fucking because he's cowardly, he doesn't really want to do things, and he's deathly afraid of girls, but wants a girlfriend and shit. We see him as he's pretty much trying to get this girl to marry him, and Tanjiro's like, fuck off, dude, stop being a prick. And he's like, no, and just freaking the fuck out, and that kind of continues. Now granted, he does get better as the season goes on, but he is still in that transformative stage. But Tanjiro's influence on him, you really do see as it goes on. But we learned that, okay, if he's like this, how the fuck did he get past the fall selection? Well, we find out that they stumble upon this whole thing that, oh god, there's a demon around here, we gotta fucking deal with it. So they kind of team up, they go inside, and we see this really kind of cool fight with this demon, and we learn more about like blood demon arts. We had seen that previously with the demon that was kidnapping girls and everything, using his blood demon art for like water and all this. This dude has like drums that he can like flip the house and all that, and it was really kind of cool because he wanted to be a musician and stuff like that, and we see that as he's being defeated. And a really cool thing that I really like that they do throughout this series is you feel for the demons. That is an important bit. You feel sorry for them, but you do not condone their actions. You see them kind of achieve a kind of peace as their deaths go on, and you see that a lot throughout all of these demons when they're defeated. And Tanjiro tries to impart that kind of. He fights these demons and he tries to stop them from doing horrible things, but he does not really wish them ill will. And as an important core bit of his character, he does believe that these people can be saved. And that is his whole mission. Now, well, before he got to Zenitsu, he had also had a run-in with other demons in this kind of city and ran into Kabuchuchi, son of a bitch, I can't say it. Muzan, we're going with that. And this is like Big Papa Demon Dick. And it's like, holy shit. He also got rug in with this other demon, Tomoyo. And she is a doctor and trying to figure out a cure for demons as well. We'd seen Tanjiro and Nezuko fighting this like pair of demons. It's like, holy shit, that was a pretty intense fight. But they reaffirmed what they were trying to do. They kind of linked up and she's like, alright, he's got these 12 Kizuki, and if you can get me their blood, we could try and like figure out what's going on with that. And because these are important kind of like ranking members that go around with Muzan and do his kind of shit, and they're kind of amped up bigger demons, and it's important because they've got like these things tattooed in their eyeballs. It's like, all right, that's how you tell. And we see that a former Kizuki is this demon dude with the drums and all that, but Tanjiro has a hard time fighting with the dude because he's got to have to protect these other kind of siblings while also seeing what's going on. We're also introduced to Inosuke, this dude who wears a boar mask and has like 2 Nichiren swords that he's pretty much turned into like serrated blades, going around just being like, I will beat shit like a motherfucker. And there's also another kind of like scraggly little demon around there, and we find out how Zenitsu was able to pretty much get past the false selection. He had practiced this sword form so much that he can essentially do it in his sleep. So whenever he like passes out or whatnot, he kind of goes into a hyper mode where he only has one thing with lightning breathing, and he just fucking whoosh. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I really like how information is delivered in this series because it hits that point of not being too showy or too telly. Pretty much that right in between good bit. And it's like, yes. Of course, Zenitsu is still kind of freaking out, and the kid's like, what the fuck was he able to do that for? Alright. But Tanjiro is able to beat this former Kizuki and get everything under control and all that, get everybody out of the house. He, of course, then starts, he doesn't start a fight. And Inosuke wants to kill Nezuko because he can smell her in the box. And Zenitsu had gotten out before and was pretty much protecting the box. That's off Tanjiro, like, you're beating him. You're trying to kill my sister. Fuck you, dude. They kind of fight. They pretty much get into a position where they're pretty much done, but Inosuke then starts to get more of a respect for Tanjiro and tries to figure out his kind of thought processes and how he can get stronger from this. They, of course, get on a stopgap place where they pretty much rest up and heal, and we get a little bit more information of like their families connected with the demon core that have like either been saved by a demon slayer or are like related to demon slayers or whatnot, and give them safe room board before they're set off on their next thing. And we start off with this whole Spider Mountain arc. This is a pretty good one. Definitely freaky if you are not into spiders, because it was some shit, man. And we see that this is one of the 12 Kizuki, one of the lower ones. I don't know. Okay, it says 12 Kizuki, and there's like lower ones and upper ones. Usually we've seen that there's like the lower 6. I guess there's an upper 6. I didn't know if there's like the 12 Kizuki when you got a higher and lower ranks. If technically there's lower 1 through 12 and upper 1 through 12. I don't know. That wasn't really adequately explained, though they get called as we're going through, because this one has 12 Kizuki of Rui, and he is a motherfucker. But he has a reason for being like that. He was a sickly young man, and he really couldn't do stuff outside, and then moves on, like, hey, I can give you some shit. Gives him his blood, turns him into a demon, freaks out the parents, and of course they want to free him from this hellish existence, but he takes it as they want to murder him, and he kills them, and he goes about trying to recreate his family. And we see that a lot of demon slayers, well, the cannon fodder demon slayers were sent in. Of course, they probably didn't know that there's a 12 Kizuki there, because you don't fucking send some newbies in to fucking deal with the goddamn, like, big Papa Deuce shit going on. And this dude isn't even a big Papa Deuce. He's like a little Papa Deuce. So they've pretty much made this mountain thing their home, and he's just like collected other demons and pretty much giving them his blood and trying to make him into his family, and they're just like an asshole about it. Hurting them and just berating them and even killing them and replacing them with shit. It's just like, holy fuck. And there's one dude like turns other people into spiders and shit. That happens to Zenitsu, but he's able to fucking use his shit to kill the dude. He's in a bad way. Then they fight this Tanjiro and Inosuke fight this fucking father one that's a big burly motherfucker with a spider head. But they really can't do shit, and Inosuke kind of gets fucked up. But of course, at this point, some two Hashira were sent in, Tomioka and Shinobu. And this is where we're like seeing more of the Hashira. These are like the big guns in the Demon Slayer. Tomioka, we already know, he's cool. Shinobu, she's kind of an interesting character as well. I kind of like that she's kind of this poison one. She's really into the medical kind of thing, and like using her sword not really as a sword but more as a poison delivery vehicle. I'm like, that's interesting. I like having that kind of put in. But of course, Tanjiro had been pretty much separated from others and was trying to take on Rui at this point, and he told Inosuke that he was going to try and come back and try and help him with that. But we see that Rui was pretty much trying to fuck with one of his family, and that wasn't going to go with Tanjiro. And of course, Nezuko pops out, and Rui wants to turn Nezuko into his sister. He wants to steal that bond. And of course, Tanjiro has a bitch of a time trying to fight this dude. And of course, he's using most of his water-breathing forms. That's what he learned from Urokodaki. But he gets to a point where his sword pretty much gets broken. It's like, shit, that ain't good. That is not good whatsoever. Same thing also happened to Inosuke. We had seen that Tomioka gets at one point, saves Inosuke's ass, and then ties his ass up because Inosuke immediately's like, you're strong as shit. I want to fight you. Holy shit, dude. Not the time and place. And you were like, fucked up. And that's why Tomioka tied him up. But we see that Nezuko's in a compromised position, tied up by his strings, and Tanjiro's almost getting to a point where he's going to be like screwed over. But he starts using this other form of breathing that he had learned from his father. I don't know what they're calling. He's calling it kind of fire breathing. Difference because we do have a Hashira that is flame breathing, and we'll have to see if they kind of delve even further into that. Ooh, different forms and shit. But he starts using that and everything at one point. Well, Nezuko uses her blood demon art to get to a point where they do. Well, appears that they chopped off Rui's head, but he decided to chop it off himself. Tanjiro's kind of fucked up and trying to get to his sister to protect her, but he's severely weakened. However, it was long enough for Tomioka to pop up and be like, yeah, bitch. 11th form, even though there's 10 official forms, and fucking chop that dude's head off. I'd be like, yeah. Of course, we get more information on the dude as he's dying, and it's like, damn it, you do feel for him. But that's no excuse to essentially tell people to make giant spider balls and dissolve people and eat them. Okay? I feel for you, but it doesn't give you an excuse to put your suffering onto others. So we then see that they were trying to pretty much go after Nezuko and all that. But of course, Tomioka's like, I ain't letting you do that shit. So they decide to capture Nezuko, get everybody to capture Tanjiro as well. He gets brought before the Hashira and the Master because they're like, you can't do this shit. One of the Hashiras kind of like, fuck this, kill her. And pretty much tries to test everything. But of course, Tanjiro's like, fuck that shit. And Nezuko doesn't do it. She's like, oh. And I really like the Master. He's an interesting kind of tactical kind of dude. He's injured and somewhat weakened, but he is a kind of dude and is figuring out what's going on. Of course, the Ashura are like, kill them both! And he's like, well, the thing is, you know that Muzan dude? He wants Tanjiro dead, and Tanjiro's seen him and everything. Like, tell us what you know. And he's like, I don't know that much. I'm gonna paraphrase in there, but like, he's like, I don't know, I just know the dude. I saw the dude. What the fuck else you want? That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to help my sister and shit. And I was like, alright, fine, cool. So, Tanjiro and the rest of the people pretty much then go through some rehabilitative training as we get towards the end of the season, and it's really kind of cool. At first, Zenitsu is a whiny motherfucker because he was almost turned into a spider and his arms and legs are small. And Inosuke is like, how do I even do this? And of course, they're kind of let down because they kind of get fucked up in the training. They're not literally beat up, but it starts with some small stuff, and one of their kind of, I don't know if she's technically above them, but Kano, they do this kind of like water game where they try and grab these water cups and splash water in faces and everything like that. Tanjiro's the only one that like keeps going with it and learning and figuring out, oh, these like three little girls that are pretty much like running around and trying to cheer Tanjiro and like, yeah, you should do total concentration breathing constantly, so that way you can do that kind of shit. We see him paying off and everything and getting more backstory for certain other people, like Shinobu. We find out that she really hates demons because of what happened to her sister, because her sisters wanted to help demons as well, and that led to her being killed. And the thing is, she kind of was tired of letting that go because Tanjiro was able to smell the anger on her. But she's like, I can leave that to my sister's dream to you. Now, with you and Nezuko and all that, and trying to figure that out. And then I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool, and I really like the backstory that they developed for her. Seeing her kind of, she has this kind of serene expression, but beneath that calm water is like someone you don't want to fuck with. But she's learning and kind of connecting with people, and she's kind of got that connection with the Hashira. But seeing her kind of develop a kind of nice connection with Tanjiro, it's kind of cool. Not really like getting together, that's more with Kano, and we see that her backstory sucks. She pretty much grew up poor and was sold off and just shit snapped with her. She just didn't give a shit. Of course, she was rescued by Shinobu and her sister and pretty much paid for, took her, and of course we see how loving her sister was and be like, okay, if you ever have any choice or whatnot, flip this coin and figure out what's going on. And we see that as an important bit towards the end of this season. As she's doing that, Tanjiro pretty much gets himself up to a good speed, being able to use total concentration breathing constantly, and blowing these gourds and stuff like that. And she flipped the coin to talk to him. And like, well, maybe the voice in your heart's really small. And he's like, well, why don't we use this to see if you use that anymore? If you use your heart more instead of flipping the coin and all that. And he flips it up really high and he shows it to her and it came up heads. And she's like, did it really come up? He's like, well, even if it didn't, I would have kept flipping it till it did. And we see a kind of nice connection there because we'd seen that Shinobu's sister was like, hey, maybe you'll meet someone who will change you, whose love will change you and all that. Like, ooh, I kind of like it. It's not overt. It's not like hitting you over the head. It's a nice kind of organic progression. It's not like immediately like two action figures now kiss and like shit bang. It's just working out naturally. Okay. So we also see that Zenitsu and Inosuke finally follow Tanjiro's example and learn everything, like get through their rehabilitation. Also an important bit that factored into why they let Nezuko live was that Tomioka and Urokodaki pretty much said that like if she ever does consume a human being, we'll kill ourselves in penance for that. It's like, oh, Tanjiro thanks Tomioka for that, and it's an important bit to be like, yeah, there are people like vouching for you, man, and seeing that kind of bond works pretty well as he's like going off to their next mission as we're setting up the Mugen train whole story arc. So they need to go and they gotta go on to their next mission, so they're all setting up and everything. They get their swords back. Funny humorous bit was that Inosuke got his swords back and then immediately took a rock to him and like made him the serrated things, and the sword people were like, I'm gonna fucking beat that little fuck. And that was a funny humorous bit. But as we're seeing this, we have a nice kind of contrast between how the Master deals with the Hashira and Muzan deals with his Kizuki. So at the end of the season, we see that the lower five now, because one of their rank group killed, has been summoned to this kind of place similar to the drumbeat dude. Except this is a demoness with a kind of guitar-like thing. And Biwa. And they're like, what the fuck's going on here? And we see that Muzan has changed his form to be that of a woman and changed his scent aura as well. So she's being like, hey, screw you people, and pretty much showing his power and control over these demons. Being like, you shouldn't be afraid of demon slayers. You should be killing them and getting stronger and everything, and killing humans and eating humans, and then just starts killing them all until one's left, and you're like, thanks for letting me be last. I kind of like hearing the misery and despair and all that shit. Of course, Muzan likes this and decides to give his / her blood to this dude. Tells him, all right, I want you to kill a Hashira and Tanjiro. Go. So that sets up what's going on as R3 are sent off to link up with the Flame Hashira, Rengoku, and we see that they're on that train. The little bit that we see is that Inosuke doesn't know what a train is, and neither does Tanjiro, and Zenitsu like, what the fuck is up with you people? Of course, they've got their swords out. Tanjiro and Zenitsu aren't like waving their swords around like, ee-ah! That's pretty much Inosuke pretty much getting ready to do that shit. The police are around me like, why the fuck do you have swords? And they're like, ah! As they have to run and jump onto the train, as we see that Rengoku's on there, and the lower Kizuki is on there getting ready to do what they do. And I'm like, okay, that's a hell of a way to end the season. And this, of course, sets us up for the Mugen Train movie that will be coming out later this year, and we don't know when it'll be like dubbed and all that. Now, granted, of course, with the pandemic going on, we'll see how that goes. But I'm fucking looking forward to it whenever it fucking comes out, because I really liked seeing all the kind of progression and how the action lined up with the story. Like, there wasn't kind of mindless action. There was good action that was showing what was going on, showing our characters' growth, but also the challenges that they will have to face, and just doing a good bit with like different kind of comedy and everything. It just worked very well, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone who's into action and good character development. Now, if you don't like gore and scary things, don't watch this. Don't watch this. So if that's not your bag, definitely not. Most anybody else, I would highly recommend watching this. And granted, it could be on in the background, but I'd just recommend actually like focusing and just having a good time watching it. So yeah, those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.